Your mind is your greatest weapon, but left undisciplined, it becomes your greatest enemy. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." The war we fight isn't with the world. It's not with people, not with fate, not with circumstances. The battle begins and ends in your mind. Welcome to Stoicism, where the greatest victory is over your own thoughts. 1. Your thoughts shape your reality. We don't see the world as it is. We see it through the lens of our own minds. A cluttered mind creates a cluttered world. An anxious mind sees threats in every shadow. An insecure mind turns every silence into judgment. But a calm, clear mind, it sees opportunity. It sees growth. It sees beauty, even in difficulty. Every morning, you are offered a choice. Will you enter the world as a slave to your thoughts, or will you take command of them? What you feed your mind becomes your reality. What you dwell on becomes your lens. If you constantly rehearse problems, you amplify them. But if you learn to observe your thoughts, to choose them wisely, you become a master of perception. Epictetus reminded us, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Events don't disturb you. Your interpretation of them does. And that means the power has always been yours. The world doesn't need to change for you to find peace. You just need to change how you see it. Reality doesn't shape your mind. Your mind shapes reality. Control it, and everything else follows. Freedom, clarity, power, and it all begins with a single thought. 2. Most suffering is self-created. It wasn't the insult that truly hurt you. It was the story you built around it, the meaning you assigned, the pride you refused to let go of. It wasn't the failure that broke you. It was your need for control, your desperate wish that life unfold the way you imagined it, perfect, predictable, painless. But life isn't built on your terms, and neither is peace. Seneca said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." And it's true. The sharpest pain often doesn't come from what happened, but from your reaction to it, from reliving it, rehearsing it, twisting it into a weapon your mind uses against itself. Your mind is a master storyteller. It weaves narratives out of fragments, turning a simple look into rejection, a silence into betrayal, a mistake into your identity. But not every story it tells you is true. Not every emotion is wise. Not every thought deserves your belief. The Stoics teach us to pause, to step back from the flood of thoughts, and ask, is this useful? Is this within my control? Is this story helping me live a better life? When you learn to observe your mind instead of obey it, you break the loop. You stop bleeding over wounds that exist only in your imagination. You begin to see that most of your suffering was never about the world. It was about the war within. And when you realize that, you take back your power. Not by changing the world, but by changing the lens through which you see it. That's how freedom begins. With one simple act of awareness.
The enemy within: ego, fear, and desire. The Stoics warned us long ago. If you want to find your true enemies, don't look outside. Look within. We often think the world is against us, But the battle is rarely with others. It's with our own ego, fear, and desire. And these are far more dangerous than any rival or critic. Ego is the most seductive. It whispers, "You are special. You are superior." It feeds on applause, on comparisons, on being seen. But the moment that praise fades, it starves, and it turns on you. Ego builds a throne in your mind, but that throne is fragile, because the higher you climb in your own self-image, the further you fall when the world fails to validate it. Fear is the quiet one. It hides beneath excuses, perfectionism, overthinking. It asks, what if you fail? What if they laugh? What if you're not enough? So you shrink, you avoid, you stall. Not because the danger is real, but because your mind has made it real. Seneca said, "We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality." Desire is the restless one. It never lets you be still. It always wants more. More wealth, more recognition, more attention. It tells you happiness is just around the corner once you get what you want. But what happens when you get it? You don't feel peace, you feel emptiness. And then desire moves the goalpost again. These are the inner tyrants: ego, fear, desire. They chain your mind. And the worst part? You wear the chains proudly. You call them ambition, confidence, motivation. But the Stoics saw through the illusion. They knew that true power lies not in chasing what the world values, but in conquering what the mind craves. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Because the wise man does not seek applause. He doesn't crave safety. He doesn't beg the world for approval. His aim is not to conquer others, but to conquer himself. True freedom is not found in fame, comfort, or possessions. It is found in letting go. To want nothing, to fear nothing, to need no applause. That is Stoic victory. Not loud, not celebrated, but unshakable, unmoved, and utterly free. Discipline over emotion. We live in a world that rewards reactivity. Explosions of anger are seen as strength. Emotional outbursts are framed as honesty. And those who stay calm? They're often mistaken for weak or cold or indifferent. But in Stoicism, the opposite is true. The person who can pause, who can remain still while the storm rages, that person is truly powerful. Because discipline over emotion is not suppression. It's not pretending you don't feel. It's acknowledging your feelings without letting them lead your life. Epictetus taught, "Make it your study, therefore, to confront every harsh impression with the words, 'You are but an impression, and not at all the thing you appear to be.'" Think about that. Most of your reactions are not to the event itself, but to your interpretation of it. And that interpretation is shaped by emotion. Anger says, "They disrespected me." Fear says, "I'll lose everything." Envy says, "They don't deserve what I don't have." But what happens when you stop and question it? What if that person didn't mean to offend you? What if losing something opens a new path? What if someone else's success has nothing to do with your worth? This is where discipline comes in. To not be yanked around by every emotion. To not act impulsively just because you feel something strongly. Because emotion is natural. Anger will knock. Fear will visit. Jealousy will whisper. But Stoicism teaches you don't have to answer the door. Seneca warned us, anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful than the injury that provokes it. Uncontrolled emotion can destroy your relationships, cloud your judgment, derail your progress. And for what? A temporary release? A feeling of righteousness? Let others be ruled by chaos. Let others burn their energy reacting to everything. You choose mastery. Discipline is quiet. It doesn't shout. It doesn't need to be noticed. It just acts. With intention, not impulse. With clarity, not chaos. And that is the Stoic way. To feel deeply, but respond wisely.
Number 5. Silence the inner critic. There's a voice in your head, and it's been there for years. It judges. It doubts. It compares. It tells you you're not enough, that you need to look a certain way, be more successful, achieve more before you're allowed to feel peace. But here's what the Stoics understood. You are not that voice. You are the one listening to it. That critic in your mind, it was built by fear, by expectations you inherited, by years of comparison, rejection, perfectionism. You think it's helping you. You think it's holding you accountable, but all it's really doing is keeping you small. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The same goes for your internal pain. That cruel voice is just an estimate, a perspective, a habit, and you can revoke it. You are not worthless just because you failed. You are not behind just because someone else is ahead. You are not invisible just because others don't see you. You are human, and that's enough. The Stoics didn't chase perfection. They chased virtue. They didn't obsess over outcomes. They focused on effort. They didn't allow their peace to be held hostage by thoughts that had no foundation in truth. You can't always quiet the critic, but you can stop believing it. You can stop feeding it. Instead, feed the witness within you, the part that is calm, still, unafraid. That's the true self, the voice of reason, the voice of truth. You don't have to fix yourself to be worthy. You don't need to earn your own acceptance. You only need to see clearly that most of the noise in your head is just noise. Silence the critic. Not with anger, not with denial, but with awareness. Once you do, you'll hear something quieter, but far more powerful. Peace. Number 6. Train your mind daily. A warrior does not wait for battle to sharpen his sword. He sharpens it every day, especially when things are calm. Your mind is no different. In a world of distractions, emotional triggers, and endless noise, mental discipline is not a luxury, it's survival. And just like the body needs movement, the mind needs stillness, reflection, challenge. You cannot expect to stay calm in the chaos if you never practice calm in the quiet. The Stoics didn't treat philosophy as theory. They treated it as a daily exercise. They journaled. They meditated. They asked themselves hard questions every day. What did I do well today? What did I do poorly? What was in my control?
What must I prepare for tomorrow? Marcus Aurelius, a Roman emperor, carved out moments before battle to write to himself, to reflect, to remember what mattered. If he had time, what's your excuse? This isn't about being perfect. It's about preparing, training your mind so that when life throws fire, you don't burn. You forge strength. Train your mind daily by choosing discomfort. Read what challenges you. Sit in silence. Limit distractions. Resist reacting. Seneca wrote, "Only time can reveal a man's steadfastness. A day shows his strength. A lifetime, his discipline." You don't build discipline by waiting for motivation. You build it by showing up, even when you're tired, even when you don't feel like it. Because every morning you rise early, every time you write down your thoughts, every time you resist the impulse to lash out, you're training your mind to obey you, not the other way around. So choose the hard road. Choose the mindful road. Make your mind a temple, not a battlefield. Practice daily, and peace will become your default, not your exception.
7. Practice voluntary discomfort. We spend our lives trying to escape discomfort. We crave softness, convenience, pleasure. But the Stoics? They sought discomfort. Intentionally. Why? Because they understood something we've forgotten. Comfort breeds weakness, and voluntary hardship breeds strength. Seneca wrote, "Set aside a number of days during which you shall be content with the scantiest and cheapest fare, with coarse and rough dress, saying to yourself all the while, 'Is this the condition I feared?'" They practiced loss, so they wouldn't fear losing. They practiced hunger, so they wouldn't be ruled by appetite. They walked in the cold, so they could walk through life unshaken. The goal wasn't misery. The goal was mastery. When you choose discomfort on your terms, the world can no longer use it against you. Think about it. If you've faced rejection, voluntarily taken the hard road, gone without praise or luxury or approval, what can life throw at you that you haven't already endured by choice? Modern life has softened us. We panic at inconvenience. We complain when we're bored. We fear discomfort like it's danger. But discomfort is not your enemy. It's your trainer. It sharpens your will. It purifies your focus. It separates what you want from what you need. Voluntary discomfort isn't about deprivation. It's about discipline. Take the cold shower. Say no to the indulgence. Go without for a day. Walk when you could drive. Carry your own burdens, literally and mentally. Every time you do, you remind yourself, I am not fragile. I can survive without this. I don't need ease to have peace. And that kind of strength, that's Stoic strength. Quiet, grounded, unshakable. 8. Guard your inner peace like a fortress. Your mind is a fortress, a sacred citadel where your peace lives. But like any fortress, it needs guards. It needs walls strong enough to keep the chaos out, because outside, the world is loud, messy, relentless. Every insult, every demand, every distraction is a battering ram against your calm. Marcus Aurelius called this inner sanctuary the inner citadel, a place no one can enter without your permission. You wouldn't leave your front door open to strangers. So why leave your mind open to every fleeting thought, every passing anger, every toxic word? Not every voice deserves to be heard. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every crisis is yours to solve. The Stoics teach us to be vigilant,
to discern what belongs in the fortress and what must stay outside. When you learn to guard your mind, you stop being a victim of circumstance. You stop being tossed by every wave of emotion. Peace becomes your default, not because life is easy, but because you are anchored within. Your inner peace is not a reward for success. It is not something you find in comfort or approval. It is a fortress you build, brick by brick. With every choice to pause, every refusal to react, every moment you choose calm over chaos. You don't need to control the outside world. You only need to control what you let inside. Build your fortress. Guard it fiercely. And the world may rage, but you will stand unshaken.
9. You are not your thoughts. A thought rises, I'm not good enough. Another, what if I fail? Yet another, they don't like me. These thoughts can feel like storms inside your mind, overwhelming, relentless, real. But here's the truth the Stoics remind us. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. Imagine your mind is the sky and your thoughts are the clouds. Some dark, some light, some fast, some slow, but all passing through. No matter how fierce the storm, the sky remains vast and calm behind it. You don't have to believe every thought. You don't have to act on every impulse. You don't have to identify with every feeling. This separation, this awareness, is freedom. It allows you to step back, see your thoughts for what they really are. Temporary, often misleading, sometimes false. Epictetus said, "It's not things that disturb us, but our judgments about things." When you realize this, you stop being a prisoner of your mind. You become its master. You are not your fears. You are not your doubts. You are the calm space in which these arise and pass away. And in that calm space, there is peace, there is power, there is freedom. In the end, the greatest enemy is not out there, not in your past, not in what they said. It's in your mind. But that also means the greatest ally is also within. Train your mind to serve you. Discipline your thoughts. Question your fears. Challenge your ego. And master your emotions. As the Stoics taught, a man is as unhappy as he is convinced himself he is. Your thoughts are powerful, so make them wise. Make them peaceful. Make them your allies. Because once you master your mind, no enemy can touch you. If this message spoke to you, share it. Someone out there is fighting their own mind today. Let this be their reminder. They are not alone. They are not broken. And with practice, they can rise. Subscribe for more Stoic wisdom. And remember, master the mind, master your life.